I started noticing something strange. My wife, who used to be warm, thoughtful, and open with me, began acting different. At first, I thought she was just stressed, maybe tired from work or overwhelmed. But it wasn't that. It started small. She began keeping her phone with her all the time. She used to leave it on the table or charger, but now it never left her side. Even when she took a shower, she'd bring it into the bathroom. She started setting a password, and if I walked by while she was texting, she'd turn the screen away. Please stay with me as I tell you my story, and please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing with your loved one. I asked her if something was wrong, and she brushed it off. She said I was being paranoid, but her behavior didn't feel normal. She was quieter. She avoided eye contact. She barely touched me anymore. When we talked, it was only about small things, groceries, errands, the weather. She stopped asking me about my day. It felt like she was always somewhere else in her mind. Then came the questions. Out of nowhere, she started asking about our finances. Not in a casual way, specific things. What was the value of our house? How much was in my business account? Did I ever update the beneficiaries on my life insurance? She asked if we had copies of the deed to the house, and where I kept my will. I asked her why, and she laughed it off, saying she was just being curious. But something in her tone felt off. It didn't feel like curiosity. It felt like preparation. The final push came one evening. She left her phone on the kitchen counter when she went to take out the trash. It was only for a minute, but the screen lit up with a notification. A message preview popped up from someone named L. Barton. I didn't recognize the name, but the message said, "Just remember, file first. It gives you leverage." My stomach dropped. I picked up the phone. I didn't unlock it. I just stood there, reading that one line over and over. When she came back in, I was sitting at the table like nothing happened. I smiled and asked how the trash was. Inside, I was screaming. I didn't need to see the rest of the messages. That one was enough. She was planning something, and it had nothing to do with saving our marriage. It was legal. It was serious. It was about money. I realized that night, this wasn't a rough patch. This was a setup, and if I didn't move quickly and carefully, I was about to get blindsided. I didn't confront her. As much as I wanted to grab her phone and demand the truth, I knew that would be the worst thing I could do. If she really was planning something, tipping her off would only speed things up. I needed to be calm, smarter, and one step ahead. That same week, while she thought I was at work, I booked a consultation with a divorce attorney. I didn't even know what I was going to say. My hands were shaking the whole drive there. When I got to the office, I explained everything I'd seen, everything I'd noticed, her distance, the money questions, the message on her phone. The attorney listened quietly and then gave me advice that completely changed the game. He told me not to confront her, not yet. He said if she was planning to file, and especially if she wanted to hurt me financially, I needed to act quickly and quietly. The first thing he told me to do was start documenting everything. Every odd question she asked, every time she acted suspicious, every time she left the house and came back suddenly nice. Write it all down. Date it. Time it. He explained that patterns matter in court. Then came the real work, protecting the assets. I was advised to begin shifting any non-joint property out of reach. My business wasn't in both our names, but it still needed to be locked down. I stopped routing payments into our joint account and opened a new account under a business entity. I moved the business account under my brother's legal oversight temporarily. We created a trust account in his name, legally secure and shielded from joint marital claim. The attorney assured me it was legal, as long as I wasn't hiding assets, just protecting what was mine before anything formal was filed. Next, I checked every joint asset, car titles, real estate, even investments. We owned a rental property that was in both our names. I consulted a financial advisor to help me start the process of separating my share. I didn't sell anything. I just made sure things couldn't be moved or claimed without my signature. Everything was done quietly, with no changes that could be seen unless someone knew where to look. I even stopped using our joint credit card and applied for a new one in just my name. I was extremely careful. At home, I acted like nothing had changed. I still had dinner with her, still made conversation, still played along when she smiled a little too much or acted overly affectionate. I didn't let even a flicker of suspicion show on my face. I knew she was watching me closely, just like I was watching her. I couldn't afford to slip up. Every move I made was small, measured, and legal. I didn't do anything drastic. I didn't move all the money overnight or cancel anything that would raise a red flag. The attorney reminded me, it's not about hiding, it's about protecting. I wasn't trying to take anything that wasn't mine. I just wanted to make sure that if this divorce happened, I wouldn't be left with nothing while she walked away with half of what I built. It was like playing chess with someone who didn't know you were already 4 moves ahead. Every night, I'd go to bed with knots in my stomach, wondering what message she'd send next or what call she'd make. but I didn't show it. I stayed silent, calm, careful, because I knew the game had already started, and now I was playing it too. After I started moving things quietly, her behavior changed again, but this time in the opposite direction. Almost overnight, she went from cold and distant to warm and sweet. She began planning dinners, lighting candles, playing music in the background like she used to when we first started dating. She'd text me during the day saying she missed me. She even suggested we take a weekend trip together. Just the two of us, no phones, no distractions, just reconnecting. If this had happened a few months earlier, I might have believed it. But now, every kind word, every soft touch, every smile felt fake. It was like watching a performance. She was playing a role and hoping I'd fall for it. The timing felt too perfect, too polished. I remembered what my attorney said. People often try to keep things looking normal until the moment they file. They don't want the other person to see it coming. So I played along. I smiled back. I brought her flowers. I told her the weekend trip sounded perfect. I even helped her plan it. I wasn't going to give her any reason to think I knew what she was doing. Let her feel in control. Let her think she was winning. That was the best way to stay invisible. Then came the night that confirmed everything. She was in the living room late, pretending to scroll through her phone. I was in the bedroom, pretending to be asleep. But something told me to get up. I crept halfway down the hallway, careful not to let the floor creak. I stopped just outside the door, hidden in the shadow of the hallway light. She was on the phone. Her voice was low, but not low enough. 2 more weeks, she said. Then I'm free. Everything's lined up. He won't see it coming. I didn't breathe. She laughed softly, the way she used to when she was talking to her best friend. No, I'm not telling him anything. He still thinks we're going away to reconnect. I just have to keep things calm a little longer. That was it. The curtain was pulled back, and the show was over, for me at least. I finally knew exactly what she was planning, and when. 2 weeks. That was my window. I went back to the bedroom and lay there in the dark, wide awake, my heart pounding. Not from heartbreak anymore, but from clarity. The lies weren't subtle anymore. They were direct, and so was her plan. She thought she had it all mapped out. Charm me, file for divorce while I'm off guard. Take what she could before I even realized what hit me. But she didn't know I already saw it coming. That I'd already built walls around everything she was trying to get. That I wasn't just playing defense. I was setting the board in my favor. Over the next few days, I stayed in full character. I helped her pack for the trip. I made dinner. I even brought up old memories from when we first met, just to keep her believing I was still clueless. All the while, I tightened every loose end, checked every document, reconfirmed my financial moves, saved every new moment of strange behavior, every phone call she made when she thought I wasn't listening. She thought she had 2 weeks left to walk away with everything. But now, I had the same 2 weeks to make sure she left with nothing she didn't earn. Exactly 2 weeks later, just like she said, it happened. I came home from work and found her sitting at the kitchen table, calm and collected, a strange kind of smile on her face. She had 2 glasses of wine poured, one for her, one for me. I sat down, knowing exactly what was coming, and waited. She didn't waste time. She slid the envelope across the table like it was just a bill or a birthday card. I think we both know things haven't been working, she said, with this fake softness in her voice. I've already spoken to a lawyer. These are the papers. I looked down at them, not even pretending to be surprised. But she didn't notice. She thought she had the upper hand. She thought I'd be shocked, maybe beg, maybe get angry, anything but calm. She kept talking, walking me through it like she was doing me a favor. It's all pretty straightforward. We split everything 50-50. The house, the savings, your business, the rental property. I've already listed out what should go to who. She had it all printed and ready, names, numbers, even asset values she clearly had been collecting. She must have thought she was being generous. But I knew better. I knew she thought she'd walk away with a huge piece of everything I built. And that was the part she didn't see coming. I nodded slowly, flipping through the pages, letting her talk. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I didn't even ask questions. I just said, thanks. I'll have my attorney look these over. Her smile faltered for half a second, just a flicker. But it was enough. She hadn't expected me to have legal help. She thought she caught me unprepared. That's when I knew for sure she believed her own performance. That night, I went back to my lawyer with the papers. We looked at her list line by line. And just like I hoped, most of what she wanted was already locked out of reach. The business, already under a trust, no longer accessible. The savings rerouted. The rental property, ownership legally divided and protected. Everything she aimed for was already legally untouchable. She thought she was slicing up a pie she still had access to. But she had no clue the kitchen was already closed. What made it worse, better for me, worse for her, was the calm. She had no idea anything had gone wrong. She left that night like she had won something, confident and almost smug. She had no clue that the plan she'd worked on for months had already failed before it even began. She thought she played me, but the truth was I never stopped watching. And now it was her move, but the board was already tilted in my favor. It didn't take long for her lawyer to reach out. About a week after she handed me the divorce papers, I got the official notice through my attorney. They were requesting full financial disclosure, expecting to see everything she'd listed in her little breakdown at the kitchen table. The business, the house, the rental property, the savings, the joint investment. They came in confidently, ready to split the fortune in half. What she didn't expect, what her lawyer definitely didn't expect, was how little was actually left in the shared accounts. My attorney sent over the official declarations. Everything was neat, legal, and fully documented. The business? Legally moved under a trust and restructured months earlier, with full proof showing that it was solely funded and maintained by me, using premarital funds and separate income. The house? Half of it still technically in her name, but any plans for a quick sale or split would have to go through legal hurdles she hadn't prepared for. The savings? Only a small portion remained in our joint account, just enough to show I wasn't hiding anything, but not enough to satisfy what she was expecting. The real shock hit when they saw the statement. Her lawyer must have flipped through them, expecting 6 figures. But instead, they found just enough to cover bills. No offshore accounts, no mystery gaps. Everything was accounted for, just not in her favor. Her lawyer fired back, accusing me of hiding money. That's when my attorney stepped in and calmly laid everything out. Bank statements, transaction logs, trust formation paperwork, even time-stamped emails showing everything was done legally and well before she filed anything. We weren't hiding a cent, we were protecting it. The courtroom wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud or full of shouting. It was quiet, cold. Her side came in smug, then slowly began to realize things weren't going as planned. She sat there, trying to stay composed, but her face said it all. I watched the confusion build into frustration, then panic. Every move she'd planned was based on the belief that I'd be passive, caught off guard, too late to respond. But instead, I'd been 2 steps ahead the whole time. Every asset she had targeted was already wrapped in legal structure, already documented as separate, already out of her legal reach. Her lawyer tried to argue that the transfers were done to avoid equitable division, but my team had anticipated that too. We had every date, every receipt, every action lined up in a timeline that showed it was all done before she even filed. Not reactionary, just smart preparation. By the end of the session, their tone had completely changed. Her lawyer, once confident, was now quiet, asking for extensions, needing time to reassess options. She looked at me once across the courtroom, and I saw it, that moment where it clicked. She realized the plan she had spent weeks or months crafting had completely backfired. She thought she was setting a trap, but she walked right into mine. Everything she had aimed to take was now legally out of reach. And all she had left was the smallest slice of what she thought she'd gain. The house would need negotiation. The rest? Off the table. There was no big payday coming, no sudden windfall, just reality, cold and unbending. The collapse of her plan didn't come in a single moment. It came slowly, piece by piece, as every assumption she made crumbled under the truth. She didn't just lose the game, she realized too late she was never in control of it. Not long after the court session, her tone changed. The legal pressure must have finally hit her because suddenly, she went from silent and smug to sweet and sentimental. The charm she had weaponized before came rushing back, only this time, it didn't feel polished. It felt rushed, desperate. One evening, she greeted me at the door with my favorite meal, something she hadn't made in years. She was all smiles, playing soft music, acting like everything was normal. She talked about how stressful everything had been and how she missed how things used to be between us. She even brought up old memories from our first trip together, reminding me how happy we were back then. Then she started texting me during the day, pictures of us from years ago, little heart emojis, even things like "remember this day?" and "look how far we've come." She even mentioned maybe canceling the weekend trip, so we could just relax at home, reconnect. And then, a few days later, she did the unthinkable. She withdrew the divorce petition. No explanation, no discussion, just a formal withdrawal through her attorney. My lawyer called me the moment it came through. We both knew what it meant. She realized she wasn't walking away with what she expected. The money she thought she'd get? Gone. The assets she assumed she'd split? Protected. Her strategy had collapsed, and now she was trying to reel everything back in, to undo it before it was too late. She started talking like we were just having a rough patch, like none of it had happened. She apologized for being distant, blamed stress, said she didn't want to throw away years of marriage. She suggested therapy. "Let's try again," she said. "Let's start fresh." But the smile didn't reach her eyes anymore. The cracks were visible. Her voice trembled when she spoke. Her hands fidgeted when she waited for my answer. The confidence she once had was gone. It wasn't about love. It was about control. She was trying to flip the board over because the game didn't go her way. I listened. I stayed polite. I let her talk. But inside, I knew what was happening. She wasn't trying to fix the marriage. She was trying to stop the fall. The woman who had quietly set a legal ambush was now trying to act like she'd never picked up the knife. But it was too late for mask. Too late for charm. I had seen her plan, heard her timeline, watched her smile while she tried to gut me financially. No amount of homemade meals or memory lane strolls could erase that. She had made her move. And now she had to live with how it played out. Desperation doesn't hide well, not when the truth is already out. Even with her sudden kindness, I didn't let my guard down. If anything, her change in behavior only confirmed how calculated this had all been. The divorce withdrawal, the sudden affection, the perfectly timed memories. None of it felt genuine. It felt rehearsed, like a script she'd written when things didn't go her way. I'd already protected my assets. Legally, she was locked out. But I wasn't done. There was still the issue of the story she might try to spin. If this came back around again, and I had a strong feeling it would, I needed proof. Not just legal documents, but something she couldn't talk her way out of. So, I bought a couple of discreet audio recorders. Small, battery-powered, easy to hide. One went in the drawer by the entryway table. She always took calls there, thinking I was out or not listening. Another went behind a stack of books in the living room. I wasn't spying out of paranoia anymore. I was building insurance. It didn't take long. The second night after she pulled the divorce petition, I hit play on the recorder and sat back in disbelief. She was on the phone with a friend, laughing. Her voice was sharp, casual, not at all like the sweet, soft version she'd been putting on around me. "He thinks I'm serious about staying," she said. "All I have to do is smile, cook a few dinners, act like I care. Give it a few months, and I'll hit him with new terms. He won't see it coming." There was a pause, then more laughter. "Yeah, I'm already back on the apps. Just browsing. I mean, I'm not going to be stuck with him forever. I just need the paperwork to make sense next time." She kept going. She even joked about how she'd tried to trap him into a bad settlement, and how he got lucky with his lawyer. She wasn't even hiding the bitterness anymore. Not from her friend, at least. I listened to every word, my hands clenched. It didn't hurt. It confirmed everything. This wasn't about love or repair. It was about money, control, and appearances. She hadn't changed. She'd just lost round one, and was regrouping for another attack. Over the next few days, I picked up more recordings. One where she cursed me out to someone, calling me a clueless idiot who got lucky. Another where she laughed about making him think it was his idea to reconcile. The mask was completely off, just not when she was with me. I saved every file, backed them up to a drive, sent copies to my attorney. This wasn't just personal now, it was legal defense. If she came after me again, tried to flip the story or paint me as controlling or dishonest, I had the truth on tape. The strange part, even knowing what I knew, I kept playing the part at home. I still smiled, still said thank you when she made dinner, still nodded when she talked about starting over. Because I knew now, without a doubt, what she was really doing. And I knew exactly how it would end. The difference between us was simple. She thought she was playing a game. I knew it was a war. It was a Thursday evening, and she made spaghetti. It used to be my favorite, back when things were real. She lit a candle, poured 2 glasses of red wine, and turned on some low jazz music. It was a full performance. Every little touch meant to feel intimate, familiar. She was smiling too much again, asking about my day with extra softness in her voice. But this time, I didn't have to guess what she was hiding behind it. I already knew. I had hours of her own words recorded, mocking me, lying, planning. I watched her talk, twirling her fork, laughing at a joke I barely mumbled. Her eyes were scanning mine, checking for signs. Was I still convinced? Still playing the part of the loving, clueless husband? Halfway through dinner, I decided it was time. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I just let a sentence slip, almost like I was thinking out loud. "It's funny," I said, swirling my wine, "how someone can say he thinks everything's fine now. I just need to make it look like I tried. Once that's done, I'll hit him again. This time with better terms." I didn't look at her right away. I just kept eating. The silence hit instantly. Not even a beat of confusion, she knew. Her fork paused midair, then slowly dropped to her plate. I finally looked up. Her face had gone pale. Her lips parted slightly, like she wanted to speak, but the words wouldn't come. I took a slow sip of wine. "That ring a bell?" I asked softly. She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. The color completely drained from her face. She opened her mouth, then closed it, then opened it again. I don't know what you're talking about." I smiled, just enough to show I wasn't buying it. "Come on. You don't remember saying that? It was a phone call. You were standing right next to the entryway drawer. I've got the full recording, if you want a refresher. She dropped her napkin, pushed back from the table, and stood up fast, like she suddenly couldn't breathe. You've been spying on me? No, I said calmly. I've been protecting myself. There's a difference. She started pacing, one hand over her mouth. I didn't mean it like that. I was venting. I didn't actually. I raised a hand. Don't bother. She sat down, suddenly small, no longer performing. No more charm, no sweet smiles. Just raw panic. Please, she said. It got out of control. I didn't know how to stop it. I thought you'd be angry, and I panicked. I didn't know you heard all that. That's the problem, I said. You thought I wouldn't hear. You thought I wouldn't see what you were doing. Tears came next. Of course they did. She begged for another chance. Said we could fix it. Promised that none of it meant anything. But it was all noise now. A final act that came too late. I stood up, picked up my plate, and walked it to the sink. Her voice cracked behind me, pleading, saying my name over and over, but I didn't turn around. I was done playing along. After that night, I didn't waste any time. The moment dinner ended, I made the final call to my attorney. I sent him all the audio files. Every second of her lies, her bragging, her plans to trap me into a settlement. I didn't care what she tried to say after that. I had what I needed. The next morning, we filed the counter-petition. This time, I wasn't reacting. I was leading. The petition included everything: dates, transcripts, and a clear outline of how she had manipulated the situation, lied about her intentions, and deliberately tried to deceive both me and the court. My lawyer presented it all, calm and organized, with evidence that spoke louder than anything she could deny. Her response came quickly. She was furious. Her lawyer tried to flip the narrative, claiming I had violated her privacy, that I was spying, that the recordings were unethical. But legally, in our state, it was all admissible. The judge allowed it. Her face in the courtroom when the recordings were played, it said everything. She didn't even look at me. She just stared down at the table while her voice echoed through the room. It didn't take long for the court to see the truth. The charm, the sudden withdrawal, the performance, it was all part of a strategy. And now that strategy was on record, word for word. What was meant to be her power move had become her undoing. The judge ruled in my favor. My assets were protected. The business, the rental property, the savings I had moved untouchable. She walked away with far less than she expected, a fraction of what she once demanded. And worse for her, she didn't just lose the financial battle, she lost her credibility. People talk. Her friends, our family, even people at her work, they found out. Not from me. I didn't say a word. But things like this have a way of slipping out. Her image of being the one wronged, the one trying to save the marriage, it crumbled. She didn't just lose in court. She lost her mask. I didn't feel victorious. Just relieved. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. I wanted out. And that's exactly what I got. No shared custody fights. No dragged-out hearings. Just a clean, final signature. And it was done. No more pretending. No more games. I walked away quietly, calmly, with everything I had built still intact. She walked away angry, exposed, and alone. That was the clean exit I had hoped for. Not with screaming, not with drama, just truth served cold and undeniable. It's been months since the divorce was finalized. The papers are signed, the assets are secured, and the silence is peaceful. There were no more angry phone calls, no more fake apologies, no more dinners cooked with hidden motives. Just stillness, clean and calm. I didn't celebrate when it ended. I didn't raise a glass or tell everyone I won, because it wasn't about winning. It was about surviving something I never saw coming, until I did. Quietly, I closed every door she once walked through. I cut off all contact. I didn't check her social media, didn't ask mutual friends how she was doing, didn't care where she ended up. That chapter was done. I moved on slowly, rebuilt the life she tried to tear apart. Not with noise, not with anger, but with focus. I poured myself into my work again, took back control of my time, my home, my peace. I saw friends I hadn't seen in years. I laughed again, not because I forgot what happened, but because I survived it. She, from what I've heard in passing, is still trying to put her life back together. The story she used to tell, about being the victim, doesn't land the same anymore. People started seeing through it, and I never had to say a word. What I learned from all of this wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about getting even or making her feel what I felt. That would have made me like her. What I learned was far simpler. When someone plans to betray you, being 2 steps ahead is the only way to protect yourself. Not to destroy them, but to make sure they can't destroy you. I don't hate her. I don't wish her harm. But I also don't forgive her. Some things aren't about closure. Some things are just a warning. So I let the truth speak for itself. I let the evidence do the talking. I didn't need to scream or fight. I just watched the storm she created fall apart on its own. And that's the real victory. Not loud, not cruel, but quiet. Quiet and complete. Do you think I made the right choice by staying silent and letting everything unfold, or should I have confronted her from the start? I'd really like to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories like mine, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video.